So jack up the car and put it on axle stands. Make sure you always put it on axle stands if ever you're getting under the car. Very unsafe not to do that. That's where I put the axle stands for this vehicle, under the sill jacking point. That's the main jacking point for the car at the rear, and I use the beam to jack from initially. The jacks are staying in place for now as an additional safety thing. Can't be too careful. That's the other side, you can see through there. The axle stand is on the sill jacking point, and the beam's been used to jack with. So once you've done that, the vehicle's secure and at a reasonable height. Just to go ahead and take the wheel bolts off and get the wheels off the car. Make sure the front of the vehicle is in gear. The front wheels are in gear and chocked as those are. I don't want the vehicle moving around. The driveway I'm working on is on a very slight slope, so I don't really want the car moving. Okay, and there's the shock absorber, which is broken. You can see the misting of oil there. It's not a lot, but it's enough, and it's probably enough to fail an MOT. And the car is very wandery, floaty, I want to say bouncy kind of thing when on the road, especially at speeds and going around corners. A typical sign that the shock absorbers are a bit knackered. So certainly these rear two are going to be replaced, and as I said previously, the front two, I've got those as well. If these rears are on their way out, which they are, then the fronts are likely not far behind. The car is a 2003 and it's done 125,000 miles. The bolts I need access to for the shock absorbers at the rear are these two here. So there's one here for the left hand side of the car at the bottom, it's an 18mm, and there's the one on the other side. There's just a single bolt for each one at the bottom. And then at the top they're secured by one nut just there on the top, so that's inside the boot. You just need to prise off a small rubber cap, there it is, that just sits on top there. Just prise that off and you're left with that below, and I'll need to undo both of those as well. I would recommend, it's probably worth using some penetrating oil on these bolts, because they do see a lot of road grime and it might be a little bit difficult to take a brake loose. So I'll let that sit for a moment and then attack these. But it's just a case of undoing these two at the bottom and the two nuts at the top, and hopefully the shock absorber will come free. The bolt on the left hand side was a bit of a pig to release with my crappy cheap old impact gun, so we'll give it a go for one on the right now and see if it does any better. That is a no. This thing is now out of power. And it's crap as well. So I have to resort to either the other battery pack, which I think isn't yet charged, so that's a bit useless, or just good old hand tools. This is a cat. It's not my cat. It just likes to hang around this house. It's a free cat. Hello, free cat. It's quite friendly. Does like to swipe at us though. Bit strange. So I defeated the bolt in the end. Now, there's a really good thing about hand tools. The batteries don't run flat. Get out of the way, cat. The batteries don't run... Oh, for God's sake. Right. Sorry, that cat's really in the way. The batteries don't run flat on hand tools, so I never need to worry about that. And I've defeated the bolt. You'll need to counter hold the top of the strut, the piston. There's a flat on the top of it, on that one there, you can see it just there. You need to counter hold that to stop the piston turning as you unfasten the top nut, 16mm. I've just used the vice grips here to hold it, and a ratchet spanner below to unfasten it like that. I'll be doing that for the other side as well. There's my prize, just fallen to the floor after I've undone the top nut here. Just something quickly to say, this is the top mount that lives just there. It's the original Renault one. You can see the Renault stamped on the top of it there, the symbol. Just give it a quick check for condition, make sure there's no cracks or play in this. now would be a really good time to replace this if you do find that. So I'm now going to go over to the other side and do the same thing, and then we can see how bad the shock absorbers are. This is the worst one on the left with the misting. There's the misting again, and I'll have a look at this in a while and compare it to the new ones, its action and things. There are some things to swap over between the old strut, the old shock absorber, and the new one. There is the old bump stop and the dust cover just below that. That just slides off the old shock absorber, just pull it off. That'll need to be slid onto the new one there. And the only other thing to watch out for is, just like inside the boot, just up there where there was this bushing, there's also a similar bushing. Hello, cat. Cat likes the bushing. This bushing here was at the top of the shock absorber. It lives like that on top of it after the bump stop is on there. And just make sure that it seats home properly up there. So it's going to live like, which way is it? Like that. Okay, so it's that way up. But just don't forget that that needs to go on as well. So the new shock absorber is on the right hand side. I've just done up the top nut, and this is the bottom bolt going in now. The impact wrench is working again because now it's got a new battery. Now the torque spec for this bolt is 105 Newton meters according to Haynes. And that's on. There you go, it's 105 there. Just rebuilding the shock, the new shock on the other side now. Putting on the old bump stop and the dust cover from there. Don't forget the top bushing as well, and it goes on this way up into the wheel well. This can now be added into the car as it is offered up. And don't forget the top bushing as well, it's just inside here. Don't forget to make sure that's in place and ready with the brand new nut. The new nuts come with these shock absorbers. They've got they're nylock nuts, so use those. Don't reuse the old ones. It's the new bolt, the original bolt, is now ready to go in at the bottom. Just going to buzz that in. And it needs to be torqued up just like the other one to 105 Newton meters, not pound feet. Those figures, by the way, are from Haynes, the Haynes manual for this vehicle for the Clio 2. There you go, that's 105 Newton meters. After you've tightened the bolts at the bottom of each shock absorber, don't forget to tighten up the nut on here. Again, I used vice grips just to grip the flat on the top of this to stop it turning, and I used a ratchet spanner. You could use an open-ended spanner or a ring spanner under this as well. It would just be a bit more laborious. Once you've done that and nice and tight, don't forget the little rubber caps that sit just on top like that. It's a push fit. And that's completely done, and the other side is done as well. Those are the shock absorbers now mounted. The job's now complete for the rear shock absorbers. You can put the wheels on and lower the car to the ground. Don't forget the torque spec is 90 Newton meters for this vehicle. And that's it, you're done. New rear shock absorbers. Thanks for watching.